Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Baby Doll returns. Hello, it is I, Baby Doll. And we are continuing with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Technically not the series, but, the actual movies. Tonight, we look at Nightmare on Elm Street number 4. And to be in all honesty, I kind of liked number 4. This was the one where you're going to have a lot of Freddy Krueger one-liners. Now, while I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, I'm not really sure they needed to do one-liners for every kill, but okay, I guess. Yeah, well, this was the point in the Freddy Krueger storylines where it was becoming a bit of a comedy. Not really a good thing, not really a bad thing, just basically a thing that was there. Did it kill the fear factor much? Kinda. But Robert Englund is a pretty darkly humorous guy, I think, so I would kind of assume he would be pretty much all for it, because some of his interviews I've seen him, he's pretty funny. I mean, the guy's, I don't think he's a stand-up comic per se, but, he's got some pretty interesting thoughts from time to time. Did it kill the fear factor, though? Sort of. I mean, it probably didn't help, I would say. Let me just do a quick rundown of the story here. Patricia Arquette is not in this one. She is being replaced by an actress named Tuesday Knight. Tuesday Knight is the new Kristen, and basically it's Kristen, Joey, and Kincaid from Nightmare 3, the ones who survived, and of course they're all gonna get whacked, pretty much. Spoiler. Yeah, right, like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's seen this movie, like, numerous times, but anyway. Basically what happens is, they're gonna get killed off, and Kristen was dating this one guy whose sister, the brother's name is Rick, the sister's name is Alice, and, she's basically given the powers by Kristen just before Kristen dies to basically go and basically bring people into her dreams while she's, in the middle of fighting Freddy. So Kristen dies, she gives her the power, and for the next half hour roughly, Freddy's basically on a nice little kill rampage of sorts because Alice keeps bringing people in a weird, sort of way. Some of the film I liked because there was actually a really good scene with a movie theater, and it's showing Reefer Madness of all movies, which I didn't even know it was Reefer Madness when I first saw this movie. I saw this back in like I don't know, 80, what was it, 87, 88, something like that. So I had never really seen Reefer Madness. And I later found out it was Reefer Madness because I actually own both films. And I saw that one clip and I'm like, huh, that looks familiar. So yeah, they threw that scene in. And it's a small scene. But it was a good, propaganda film back in the 30s or whatever. So basically you've got Alice fighting Freddy. And, of course, there are some good special effects. There is of course, the scene with the cockroach, with the girl who, ironically, one of the girls who was also in that sitcom with Heather Langenkamp. She plays in this one too. One of the ones who plays the the older sister. I think she was the blonde, but in this one she's like a brunette, sort of. But she basically, yeah, she basically, of course, the cockroach bit, which was a pretty good special effect. Kevin Yeager was the guy that did, I think, the Freddy Krueger makeup. Screaming Mad George and um, some other special effects company, they did the special effects and they were great. I mean, this is an 80s film, of course, so you're bound to get some decent special effects in that time. This was probably a little bit before CGI. Those three little initials some moviegoers don't like to hear. CGI is not a bad thing, though. It's not, I mean, depending on how it's used, basically. It's a tool. So, basically, the story itself it's a good horror movie, it's a good slasher movie, but is it, was this the near the beginning of the end for the Freddy Krueger scare part? Like Nightmare on Elm Street 1 was scary. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was dark. Those were pretty much some of the last of the, and I don't want to say the last of the dying breed, but in terms of horror, that was as scary as you're going to get for Freddy Krueger. The rest of it is going to be a lot of puns, a lot of one-liners, some good kill scenes. Yeah, decent kill scenes, of course. But, all in all, the movie's satisfying. I still have it in my collection. It's a great film. It's definitely, if you want to get a Freddy Krueger marathon going, that would be, of course, one to include. So that's basically, that's basically that's basically part 4 anyway, in a nutshell. Some good fighting choreography, even from Lisa Wilcox and Robert Englund towards the end of the film. They get into a decent, it's a decent duel. It's it's not Kill Bill, obviously, but it had its moments. So, in terms of A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, Part 4 was good. In terms of the Nightmare on Elm Street series and all, I'm not really sure there's a such thing as, the worst sequel ever made. At least in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you at least got Freddy Krueger all the time. Unlike a certain other movie I will not name. Well, 2 franchises I'm thinking of, but I will not name them. But all you horror buffs out there know the ones I'm thinking. Or at least I assume you might. Anyway, this has been the DollHouse. Tune in next time, sometime, when I will review A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Oh, and in case you didn't know, the soundtrack wasn't bad either. But I don't really need to hear Freddy Krueger rapping with the Fat Boys. I don't know. And maybe it's just, no, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to say it's a pet peeve, but it just doesn't really, it kind of takes away the horror factor a little bit. But, yeah. So, ironically, though, the song wasn't bad. So, yeah. Who knows, right? Okay. Well, this has been the DollHouse. Until then, I shall see you again in your nightmares. Sleep well, children. Sleep well.